The intent of this video is to review if there's any contemporary data to support the premise that German fighters strafed parachuting U.S. bomber and fighter crew members during World War II. There's lots of anecdotal stories of U.S. crew members being fired upon while in parachute descent during World War II. In March 1944, Chuck Yeager bailed out of his P-51 over France. He indicated that during his descent, a Focke-Wulf F-190 came around to finish him off, but the Focke-Wulf was shot down before he could open fire. The 1923 International Hague Rules of Air Warfare addresses attacking parachuting airmen. This chart shows a few of the Chapter 9 Hague Proposed Article rules. Article 20 states, when an aircraft has been disabled, the occupants, when endeavoring to escape by means of parachute, must not be attacked in the course of their descent. Article 20 and the other 61 Hague Article rules were never formally adopted during World War II. These articles were not ratified and were not binding. World War II belligerents were only restricted from strafing parachuting bomber and fighter crew members based on their respective aerial combat engagement command policies. So it was not illegal to strafe parachuting crew members, but did it happen to bailing out U.S. bomber and fighter crew members, and if so, how often? The U.S. Army Air Force Board reviewed 1,788 bailout events in World War II to study the effectiveness of parachutes and make recommendations based on the results of the study. The 1,788 bailout events occurred from April 1943 through September 1944 and covers the 8th Army Air Forces. The 8th Army Air Forces operated out of Great Britain as shown in this chart. The board collected questionnaires from bomber crew and fighter pilots who bailed out and through evasion made their way back to Allied territories. The results of the study are contained in this March 1945 61-page report titled Parachute Questionnaire Project. This report was declassified in January 1994. Page 5 of the report laments that crew members were pulling their ripcords too soon. The report lists 5 solid reasons why delaying parachute deployment is desirable. The report lists: he can descend rapidly into altitudes where bailout equipment is unnecessary. He decreases his time of exposure to freezing temperatures. He eliminates the danger of pulling the ripcord too soon. He minimizes the possibility of strafing by enemy aircraft. His rate of fall slows down with decreasing altitude due to increasing density of the air, and thus the opening shock of the parachute is reduced. Additional information of bailout hazards can be found in the World War II U.S. Bomber Channel video, B-17 Bomber, How to Survive a Bailout. Each of the crew members who bailed out, evaded capture, and was reunited with their unit filled out a 45-question survey. An example of the report's B-17 crew member survey responses is shown here. Key points include 838 crew members participated in the study. Bailout locations varied, where 261 or 31% occurred over England. Question 29 addresses if B-17 crew members were strafed during his parachute descent. 91 out of the 838 crew members were strafed during their parachute descents, or 11%. This is a conservative value. First, crew members bailing out over Great Britain would not be subjected to strafing by the Luftwaffe. Second, the report is based only on returning crew members. The data is subject to survivor bias. Crew members who were strafed and became POWs or killed did not participate in the study. It would be justified to recalculate the percentage of B-17 bomber crew members who were fired upon by including only crew members who bailed out over German-occupied Europe. A recalculation would equate to 16% of B-17 crew members who bailed out were strafed by enemy aircraft during the study period. In addition to B-17s, responses were provided by crew members and pilots flying B-24s, B-26s, A-20s, P-38s, P-47s, and P-51s. A tabular roll-up for all of the aircraft within the study is shown in this chart. Couple observations of the data. Overall, 207 of the 1,182 8th Army Air Force crew members and pilots who bailed out over German-occupied territories, or 18%, were strafed during their parachute descent. 32% of P-38 pilots were strafed during their parachute descent. This represents the highest percentage of strafing events, while only 11% of P-51 pilots were strafed. This represents the lowest of the strafing events. No reason for the P-38 P-51 discrepancy was given in the report. Parachuting B-24 crew members were subjected to slightly more strafing than parachuting B-17 crew members at 18 versus 16% respectively. The results provided should be used with caution. As discussed, they are survivor biased. The actual level of enemy strafing is likely higher. I did not include U.S. fighter strafing data since this information was not available. If you've enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel World War II U.S. Bombers.